It says here system credentials hijacked, but it says invalid credentials. That means this password is invalid. So it says here username test password. What's the password I entered? I entered the password invalid just now. So the domain is this. Okay. So let's take a look next. What happens if we enter a valid credential? Okay, let's try the next thing. Okay, invalid credential again. Let's see whether it stays there or it stops the process. Okay, let's say again, not valid password again. Okay, enter, refresh, and as you can see here, it still works. It says username test, password not valid password again, domain and done. Okay, and it prompts us back again for our credentials. Okay. Oh my god, WebEx. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we are going to enter our valid credential, which is test. For test account, I'm going to use the password test. This is our valid account. And if you refresh, it says here, valid creds. This is the proper password that is used by the username test, and the password is test, and the domain is John PC. And boom, you got a valid credential. And how easy is it, guys, to exfiltrate password without even having a reverse shell on your machine? Just get the password. That's all. Okay. So let me just. Oh my god. Okay. Remove all these blank lines. That's so cool, right? So yeah. So basically, what you have to do with this script is just add the SM. Excuse me, guys. So just add the SMTP port. So that's the only thing missing here. Add the SMTP port and add the port number here and add the port number here as well. Add here. So make sure you have an SMTP port here and everything. So it works. Okay. So what if, guys, what if we want to take a look at what are the processes and tasks is performed in the machine? Okay. For example, if we open up CMD here, if we do task list, it's going to give you a list of tasks in the machine. Sometimes, if you have antiviruses running in your machine, it will have a process name, maybe like norton.exe, windows defender.exe. So why is it important? By knowing what processes are running in your machine, you can create a custom payload that maybe can bypass Windows Defender, that can bypass Norton antivirus and something like that. So how do we exfiltrate this task list into our email address? But if we exfiltrate something like this, okay, let's take a look now. Okay, we are going to edit our script to add in a new variable called. Okay, okay. Before that, guys, are you guys getting the same output? Yeah, Abhinav, because WebEx have a restriction of 45 minutes. So after 45 minutes, you just rejoin. So we'll be continuing from where we left off. So any of you guys getting the same output? All good? Anything wrong with the script? I'll push the update to the GitHub in a while after the session because there's some errors in here. So I'll push a latest update to the GitHub so you guys can get the latest script later as well. Okay. So I assume that all of you guys are good so far. All right, great. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to create a new variable that will exfiltrate whatever task list is running in the computer. So let's just add a new variable here. Okay, from the top, just add here. Okay, let's say task list, task, oh my, task list. Okay, command, and we're going to do task list here. All right. Okay. After this, since you have seen here, right, guys, okay, it's going to create a new line and stuff like that. This is the final output that you see in your email, correct? So what you're going to do, you have to create a placeholder for it as well. So we are going to do task list output equals to task. We're going to put processes, okay? Processes running, okay? So that we know that the output for these are for processes running on the machine, okay? So now what we're going to do, username output, which is username, and it's going to put in whatever output is received by this command, it's going to store in this variable. So this is the variable. We are going to add a new line. Okay, we have specified a new line here. Then next, hostname output, which is this placeholder, the output result, and new line. IP output, so IP config, IP address command, this one, and a new line. So next, what we're going to do, we're going to add task list output, which is going to output this thing, processes running. And next, we're going to output the content, which is task list command, and a new line, followed by a new line to make it prettier for us to take a look at, okay? So next, guys, next, take a look here. All good, all good. Okay, same thing here. Okay, same thing here. It looks like there's a bunch of new lines here. Errors just now. So remove that. Okay, enter here. Same thing goes here. So what we're going to do, we are not going to waste time typing it out again. Copy this whole thing until sysinfo. Okay, copy, and we're going to paste it there as well. All right, paste this here, and there we go. We have our payload delivery. Okay, okay, move here, all good, all good. Anything else we have to change? Nothing much. Okay, we have a task list, we have a this, we have that. Okay, and now let's execute back. Okay, so this time, okay, this time let's okay, let's just remove some of this to make it prettier for us to look at. Okay, so maybe I'll just leave only one of this to see the difference between the latest one and the old one. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to execute our PowerShell script. Okay, and refresh, and we have payload executed. And now, as you can see, we have a username, we have a host name, we have an IP, and also we have the task list. But the problem is, these are all scattered. It's not easy for us to read out the output. So what we can do, okay, what we can do, another thing, guys, I want to mention, if let's say the user cancels the operation, it won't let the user to exit the prompt. It will actually ask the user to enter the credentials. So the user doesn't have any other option to enter his real credential. Or maybe he can go to task list to remove the operation, but it is very unlikely for the user to do so. They will just enter the user name in the field, and as always, we'll just get the password here. Okay. So what we can do, instead of getting a bunch of output, which is not easy for us to take a look at, we can just base 64 encode the output and send it to our email, and we can base 64 decode it, and we can look it in a pretty way. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, let's do it now. So what we're going to do, we are going to base 64 encode it. So this is the output we are receiving. So what we're going to do now, next, we are going to add a new variable called task list. Okay, task list command and B64. Okay, B64. Next thing we are going to do is, let's go to Google. Okay, base 64 encode in PowerShell. Google is your best friend when it comes to programming or anything. So let's go to the second step, second link. Okay. Scroll all the way down and let it load. Okay, load fast, load fast. Come on, come on, come on. And right, too many ads. Okay, cool. So this is it. You see here, we can encode a text using base64. This is what we want. So what we do, we just copy this. We just have to copy all this. Okay, all this. Just copy this. Or you can just do this as well. But it's a decoding function. But we are going to do an encoding function. So we copy this. Let's just paste this in here. Okay, it's not getting copied. Let's see what you can do. What you can do. Okay, copy to clipboard. Let's see. And it works. Okay, just remove this and remove this function. Okay, and we do not need this. And boom, we got this. And this part, we are going to replace it with this variable where we store our raw output, which we got through our email address. So what we're going to do now, we're going to send this output to our email instead of sending that raw output. Okay, so before that, we are going to copy this. Okay, instead of doing that, we copy this. We are going to replace where task list command is. Okay, and we are going to put in the base64 encoding instead. Okay, copy this whole thing. Okay, let's create a new line here to make it pretty a bit. Okay, copy the whole thing. Okay, and go to the second part down here and paste it here. All right, paste it here, and there we go. We have it. Okay, so now let's run our script, and we should get a base64 encoded output. And as you can see here, processes running. We have all of this stuff. So what we can do, one thing, we can decode PowerShell. Okay, we can decode PowerShell using online services. Okay, online services. Okay, auto detect, blah blah blah. Okay, so since PowerShell and Windows uses UTF-16 lower little Indian, okay, LE, UTF-16 LE. So change the encoding to this and decode this, and we'll be getting a list of task lists here. You see, and this is decoded, but it is not easy for us to take a look at this as well. So what we can do, let's use our Linux skills to perform this. So let's go to our Kali Linux machine. Okay, you can use any distribution you want. Okay, so I'm gonna do like nano 364 test. Okay, and I don't think I can paste it here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm going to save all of this output to a file and move it to my Kali machine. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and going to my folder, network, where my host, shared folders, shared, and let's see, new, let's say B64 process. You can do it any way you want. If you want to convert, you want to move it to your target. Okay, my machine is hanging. Okay, all good. No, no. Okay, paste this here. Okay, we have all of our text here. Okay, copy this. Okay, saved. And now let's go to our machine. We copy from our shared drive. So you can set your shared drive from your virtual machine. I won't be covering that. So you can just enable your shared folders and just put it there. And base64 process.exe, I copied this, and as you can see now we have all of this process. So now what we're going to do, we're going to convert this icon from target from, okay, dash F, it's going to be UTF 16 LE, okay, and now we are going to do a target to UTF, what is it? UTF 18, right? UTF 8, sorry. UTF 8, okay? Okay, it looks like Chinese words for me, okay? Okay, let me just do this. Wait, let me check. 364 decode. Yep, okay. So we no need to do any, yeah, exactly. We no need to do any conversion, okay? So you can just do a base 64 decode, and we're going to do a process.txt. So now we have a process with all of this. So how are we going to take a look at this in a prettier way? So that is where we can do a grep on exe. Okay, grep exe. No, grep.exe. No. Okay, let's take a look at this process. What we can do, we maybe can remove all the new lines, or we can remove all the tabs. Okay. So what we're going to do now is, let's just convert it. Let's say translate all these tabs into a new line. Okay. And let's take a look what happens here. Okay, it looks messy. It's not nice. Okay. Or maybe we just remove the tabs. Easy. And now we have all of this exe files. Okay. Okay, we have all of these exe files. So what we can do, we can take a look at what are the exe files available on this machine. So as you can see here, we have KSM, MSS, exe services, blah, 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 blah. So it's easier for us to take a look at it. What you can do, you can just take it, you can just put it into Sublime text, and there you go. Maybe you can just, what do you say? Let me just try this. Okay, and you can just put it in a Sublime text, and you can do your auditing on this. What type of exe files you have in here and everything. Okay, and there you go. You do a base 64 encoding, you do a base 64 decoding, and boom, you have a bunch of information in your hands now. So if you have Defender on your machine, as you can see here, we don't have any Defender from our output. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So, okay, since we have a valid crash, we just click this. And now we have a working credential stealing malware. Okay, what we can do with this? Are we going to just distribute it to the victim and they are able to take a look at what is going to happen? No, it's not a good way to do that. So what we're going to do, we are going to, wait, let me think. Okay, so next what we're going to do is, we're going to take this malware and we're going to host in our web server, so that when it is called, we are going to inject it into memory. Okay, so that we are not going to drop this file into their system. Okay, are we clear, guys? Okay, cool. Okay, so what we're going to do now, copy this file. So don't worry, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up a web server for you guys to just download this PowerShell script if you guys are stuck or anything. So you guys can follow along. Okay, no worries. So let me just browse to my folder real quick. Okay, so you go here, go here, go here. Okay, make sure it's the same file. Okay, so it's the same file. So you just copy this. I'm going to copy this and move it to my Kali machine. So now we're going to work on our Kali machine. Fish underscore Windows 8. Okay. So I think we can close this thing. Not going to use this to save some RAM. Okay. And let's do it, guys. Let's go. So now what we're going to do, okay, we can remove this. We're not going to use this, okay? So we're going to remove this process. Not going to use that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our clone site and we're going to host our PowerShell script. Okay. So we copy this here. We are going to copy this thing here. And now we have our PowerShell script here. But the thing is, whenever we are accessing a web server, if someone is going to, let's say someone is monitoring web server traffics and everything, if someone notices that someone is downloading a PowerShell script, you might get screwed because they will know that it is malicious. So how do we conceal ourselves so that it looks like they are actually just browsing a random website? So what we're going to do, we are going to move this fish underscore Windows 8.ps1. We are going to maybe change it to a well-known file name called robots.txt. It looks like they are just browsing a website, which is robots.txt, which is very common for every websites to go through whenever you're going through any website. But the problem is, it's not a robots.txt file. It's a PowerShell script, but no one will be knowing it from a web traffic. So that is what we want, okay? So let's do a web server here, okay? And PHP server, same thing like yesterday, okay? Okay, same thing like yesterday. I'm going to do on port 80, 80. Let me check. Let me check what port I used that day. Okay, I'm just going to grab for 192. Okay, so port 8080. Okay, so I'm going to use port 8080 as well for today. So now we have a development server, but when we access that website, so I'm going to go here 192.168.186.160 port 8080 is going to go to the index.html file. But the thing is, if I go to robots.txt, this is our PowerShell script, but no one is going to know that, correct? Because we are going to inject it into our into our machine. Okay, so before that, guys, before that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up a web server, temporary web server for you to download the script. Okay, so I'm going to go to temp, yada, yada, yada. Okay, Python, so see. Okay, I'm just going to go and do a port 80. Okay, let me just host the file for you guys so you guys can do along with me. Okay, so 192.168.186.160.80. All right, so now you guys can access this URL. Okay, I'm going to paste this URL here. Okay, so what you guys can do, just access the file and download the robots.txt from there. So download it from there. Okay, so let me know once you guys have downloaded it so we can continue to the next part. We have a lot to cover today. It's gonna be interesting. Okay, I can see some requests coming in. Okay, great. So as you can see here, since we are opening a public web server, you see someone is actually doing directory brute forcing on us. So yeah, sometimes when you're hosting any files or anything, it is very important that you don't expose something very classified for you or personal information. Just make sure that, yeah. Yeah, some random guys. That's crazy. So let me know once you guys have downloaded it, and we can head over to the next part. I can see that only 2 of you guys have downloaded it. Okay, Malua have finished it. Abhinav, all good? So I can see that Abhinav and Valuas Pride is actively involved in this. So how about others? If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't be shy. Okay. So it's really important. All right, great. So I see another guy downloading. All good, guys. Okay, can I skip to the next session? Antivirus delete the file. Yep, exactly. I would really recommend you guys to disable your antivirus. Is when I performed this assessment on a client, if you are downloading a script from a website or any place, it's going to flag it as malicious. But interestingly enough, Norton flagged it as malicious because it doesn't trust the source where you download it from. But if you copied it from a USB or you copied it from a RDP or anything, it's not going to flag it as malicious. So that's very interesting. Even Windows Defender is not going to flag it as malicious if you upload the file from a USB drive or anything. Okay. So basically, this is actually created for a USB drop test. Okay. So it fits really well for a USB drop test. All right. So I'm gonna close my web server. Okay. So let's carry on to our next part. Okay, I'm gonna remove this temporary server. Okay, so now we have our robots.txt. What we're gonna do now is, what we have to do now, we have to create a stager so that it downloads from our server and it injects into memory. Okay, for that we are going to open up a new file. Okay, file new, and we're going to name this file as, okay, same directory, name this file as stager.ps1, which is PowerShell. Okay, so I'm going to do this stager and done. Okay, all good. So now what we're going to do, we are just going to download our payload from our server and execute it in memory. So this is the stager file that will be sent to our victim in order for them to click it. Okay, because we don't want our whole payload to be going to our other machines. Okay, we just need a stager. If our infrastructure get burned down, we can just change our infrastructure. Doesn't matter. But if our payload gets burned down, it's very hard to recover from that. So what we're going to do now, we are going to execute from memory. Okay. So it looks like someone has ran this from their, okay, this is my machine. Okay. So guys, I would recommend you guys to not run the script from scratch, because it's going to send all the credentials to my email address. So if you guys don't want your password getting exposed, do not run the script. Just change the password and credentials to fit your email address that you control, so that you don't accidentally expose your password here. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do now, okay, so what we're going to do now, we are going to create a PowerShell, download, execute. Okay. So it's called a PowerShell download Cradle. Okay, Cradle, download and execute Cradle. Okay, so if you go to hack tricks and you see PowerShell for pen testers, if you scroll down here, it shows a lot of syntax that allows you to download and execute into memory. But this attack is now very widely detected by antiviruses, so it's not really possible unless you bypass MZ, anti-malware scanning interface. Okay, so it is possible, but you have to work your ass out to create a payload that is not detect by any Windows Defender or something like that. Okay. So why am I keep on? Yeah. Okay. So this is not right? Let me just delete all of this so that our inbox doesn't get flooded with emails. Okay, it's taking quite some time. Okay, let it just run. Okay, exit page. Start. Okay. And bear in mind, guys, maybe what you can do, go to your task manager. I would recommend you guys to go to your task manager. If you run the script, go to your task manager and check if the process is running in background, because sometimes it might be running in the background and sucking a lot of RAM. Okay, so make sure that you don't have that service running in your background. Okay, as you can see, Google Chrome is taking a lot of RAM. So yeah, let's take a look at this website. I don't know why it's loading like this. Okay, maybe what we can do, I'm gonna open this up here. Okay, I'm gonna do hack tricks PowerShell. Okay, and basic PowerShell for penetration testers. So it's not running here. Maybe Google Chrome is fed up with my assessment and stuff. I don't know. Since I'm using in a Windows, so understandable, it's gonna crash. Okay, looks like everywhere it's happening the same thing is happening. So let's see. Why is it not working? Okay, screw it. Okay, let's just do PowerShell download execute. I hope you guys can access the website because it is very informative. I don't know why my okay, let me just close my Google Chrome. Open this up. Matrix PowerShell. Okay, okay. Oh shit. All right, let's just go to the first link. All right. I hope you guys can access this website. I'm not sure why I can't access. I don't know. Things wrong. Or maybe I can just use Internet Explorer. I don't know. Maybe we can use that. Yeah, let's use Internet Explorer instead. Google Chrome is shit. So let's just close this. Maybe the website is not responsive. Not sure. Backtricks. Back. Okay, screw this. Okay, Backtricks. PowerShell. Okay. So basic PowerShell for penetration testers. Hope it works. Should work. Okay. This is weird. It's okay as long we have our PowerShell script. So you can actually just copy this. Okay, copy this thing. Okay, copy this. Let's try PowerShell later. We just copy this here. All right. Maybe you can try Google Chrome. Let's try it for a last time. Maybe you guys can access it. Are you guys able to access Hacktricks? I don't know why it's buffering. Yeah, I don't know why it's giving this weird prompt. Maybe what if we open up this page? Okay, I think it works. I guess. Okay, I think something wrong with Chrome. I don't know why. It's not rendering the page properly. So it's fine. We are able to open up in Internet Explorer. So as long we can open it up. So just copy this file. Okay, we do not need to. Yeah, thanks, Abhinav. Okay, so just remove the PowerShell part at front. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. All right, just leave it. Just leave it that way. What we're going to do here is we are not going to create a PowerShell script. We are going to create a batch script. BAT, batch. Okay. It's going to run in a CMD file. So rename the document to batch, guys. It's not a PS1, yeah. So go here. Let's rename this to batch. Okay, wait. Let me batch. Yes. Okay, let's close this. Okay, before that, I'm going to copy this. No. Okay, we are going to open up in Notepad. Okay, edit this in Notepad. All right. This one can rest. Okay, PowerShell can rest for a while. Now we are going to work on our batch script. So in this stager.bat, we are going to execute PowerShell. Okay, so with PowerShell, we are going to use the -c for command. Okay, so it's going to download and execute. But before that, we have to specify some interesting parameters, which is -nop, no profile, and execution bypass to bypass execution policy on any machine, exec bypass. And I would say that no window hidden, I guess. Window, maybe what we can do, open up in Firefox here, and we can refer straight from here and type it out. So if you guys are able to access Chrome, then it's fine lah. I guess I'm not sure why it's not rendering in my page. It's alright, I can open up in Firefox. Just open up Firefox. Hacktricks, PowerShell. So Hacktricks is a really good website. It has all the cheat sheets you need, okay, for your pen test. So you can't expect everyone to remember bunch of commands out of the book, correct or not? So it is really helpful to have a cheat sheet when you are doing any engagements. Okay, power sheet. Okay. Okay, that's a typo. Yeah, let's just get this page. Let's see if it renders on my Chrome, on my Firefox. And I think it works. Yep, it works. So as you can see, there's some type of variations given in this part. Okay, so we can see here have different variation. Oh my god, why it's not rendering? My god, maybe too much of, I think not enough RAM. It's okay. So what we can do, PowerShell hidden window. Okay, hidden window. I could just call run this. So as you can see here, window style hidden. Try to reload. No, the thing is I'm running multiple processors, WebEx, virtual machine and stuff like that. So my RAM might be low. So that's why it's not rendering properly. So yeah, I guess it's all right. No problem. As long you guys can access the page, then it's fine. Okay. So what we can do here, we have to use this window style hidden so that it doesn't actually prompt a PowerShell session. Okay. So what we're gonna do here, window style and we're going to put this as hidden. Okay, what happens if we remove this? Okay, what happens if we remove this? Okay, let's just try to run this, but this time we are going to run our web server. Okay, we are going to run our web server, so it's going to be php as and 192.168.186.160.8080. Okay, and we have to change the IP address here, 192.168.160.8080 and robots.txt. Okay, now what we're going to do, since it's a batch script always runs from a CMD process, but we are going to execute our PowerShell script from CMD, which spawns PowerShell to run this. Okay, so if we run this, okay, something happened here. Okay, maybe what we can do, we can take a look at what happened. Maybe some error popped up, I don't know why. Let's take a look here. And it says here PowerShell is not recognized. Okay, so what we're going to do, we have to execute as PowerShell.exe. What happens now? PowerShell.exe is not recognized as a yada yada yada. Okay, maybe what happened here is the encoding is wrong here. Okay, the encoding is something is wrong with the encoding here. So let's just create a new text file, new text document. Okay, let's put a stager new, and we put a BAT here. Yes, and let's edit this file, but this time let's type in our command PowerShell.exe no exec bypass -c, and let's copy this whole thing, copy this, and let's close this, and let's see what happens with this. And as you can see, we have a Windows, we have a CMD process open here. But what happens if a victim opens up our exe file, our BAT file, and sees the prompt here? He knows that something malicious is happening. So we don't want that happening to our machine. Okay. So as you can see here, it has downloaded our robots.txt. Give it some time, and it will execute into the process. So as you can see here, it has prompted for credentials. It is running straight into memory now. We don't have anything on the machine. Okay, so as you can see here, the payload has been executed. Okay, the payload has been executed. If we do a fake password, let's say a fake password, let's do an inbox, refresh. Okay, give it some time because it has to send some emails to you. Okay. Okay, should work. And as you can see, it says invalid creds as the same thing that happened with our PowerShell script earlier. But the only difference now is we are loading our PowerShell script from a web server we control, and it's not going to our victim machine. So as you can see here, if a person is monitoring traffic, people will just think that, oh, it's robots.txt, nothing much. Okay, so they won't mind that the server is contacting for robots.txt. So this is how evasion is taken place in most of the organizations. Okay, so next, this is our first stager. So our first stager is executing and injecting payload into our memory. So now if we do valid credentials, what is robot.txt? Robots.txt. Okay, let's say robots.txt. It's a file that actually gives crawlers in web servers to be able exactly crawler file. So that it says that, okay, this file is valid for authentication. This file is available for a user. This file you shouldn't crawl. So something like that. It's a file that controls crawlers. Okay. So now that we have a working exploit, a working stager to inject into memory, why not we combine this into a working malware to download? Okay, so now what we're going to do is, okay, let me open up a Sublime Text. Okay, I'm going to open up a Sublime Text. Okay. Okay, got it. All right, so what we're going to do now, our first thing is, so this is stager, okay? We are developing a stager now, okay? Under our stager, we want to download our credential stealer, okay? Next thing, we want to execute a reverse shell. Remember yesterday we executed a reverse shell to get a metasploit session. So we want to execute this. Third, we're going to download a legitimate, okay, it's going to be a legit COD game installer, okay. And then finally, we are going to run the installer, okay. So what happens now, when the user downloads our malware, he's going to think that, oh, okay, so we are going to install this COD game, but we need to have credentials to run this application. So they are going to give our credentials, which is executed by our credentials stealer. After giving the credentials, our reverse shell is spawned in Metasploit. And then finally, what our stager is going to do is, it's going to download a legitimate COD installer from our server and install the game for the person. So in this case, the person won't have any suspicion that something malicious has happened in his PC. Okay, are we clear, guys? Is it interesting? All good so far? All right, great, guys. Thanks for the response. Okay, so now what we're going to do, now we have our credential stealer. Next, we have to create our reverse shell. Okay, for our reverse shell, since we are using PowerShell, right? We're using PowerShell for our execution and everything. Let's just work with PowerShell instead of exe file. Okay. So next, let's open up a Metasploit handler. So MSF console, I open up a new pane here. Before opening a handler, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to build a payload. Okay. Remember yesterday I introduced you guys to a new website called pentest.ws. Okay. So that's the website I'm going to use today for our engagement as well. Okay. So it's easier for us to build our malware. All right. So let's log in again. Okay. Let's go to tools, Venom Builder. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to spawn a Metapreter shell. Okay. But the same thing is going to happen. Now what we're going to do, same as yesterday, Windows